What is up, cool kids? I'm Cool Trainer Gavin, and today we're going to be talking about some competitive things in the Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee metagame, because if you didn't know, if you've been living under a Geodude for the last, like, 3 months, probably longer than that even, probably since, like, July, the games come out in 2 days, tomorrow night, really, is when I'll be picking up my copy, but a lot of stuff got leaked. I'm not going to talk about any story things. I don't even know any story things because I didn't want to be spoiled. But this is going to be strictly talking about competitive things from the data mines and leaks and things like that that have come out in the past day and a half to 2 days. So where I get all of my stuff is from this lovely human on Twitter at Kefadix, named Kurt. Definitely check out his Twitter. This is where I got pretty much everything, as well as this guy right here, Matt Yukana. He's done a lot of like hacking and things, as you can see on the screen right there. But we're going to be talking just about competitive things. So much has changed. I have some bullet trail I'm going to be looking at, mostly just going to be freeballing, okay? So let's get into it. Firstly, candies. Candies replace the EV system in this game, but unlike in every game since Gen 2, I think, you can have unlimited candies. I guess not unlimited. You can have every stat maxed out. So if you want your Pokemon to be a special attacker, go for it. You could still have max defenses. The only thing that changes them is nature, because nature still exists. But, you know, your Chansey can have max HP, max defense, and max special defense, which is crazy. It makes every Pokemon so much bulkier. As well as it also does some things with speed tiers. Where, you know, before, if it's like a Pokemon that can do multiple things, the best example I can think of is like Nidoqueen, is, you know, you could run max HP, max special attack, because Nidoqueen's reasonably bulky and can hit pretty hard with its ability and a Life Orb. I know abilities aren't in this game, but stay with me here. But now you can have it be bulky and fast. Because, you know, with Nidoqueen, when you see it, you're like, is it Choice Scarf? Is it fast? Is it just pure offensive? You don't know. But now it takes a lot of that guessing work out, in that you can just assume that if your Pokemon is a faster base speed, no EVs, anything involved, that it will outspeed that Pokemon, because there's no Choice Scarf. And short of natures, you can be pretty sure what's going to outspeed what. But the biggest thing with candies is, like I said, the bulk. Everything is going to be so much fatter. Because imagine something like... Actually, let's find Mega Venusaur. Nope, not Vub. Nope, not Vun. I don't know why that's a U. Venusaur. So imagine a Mega Venusaur with max HP, max defense, and max special defense. That thing is never dying. Until we get into something that we're going to talk about later. Actually, we can talk about it right now. We have lots of missing moves in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Basically, they've decided to just kind of leave in one of each type of move that's physical and one that's special, at least on like the higher tier side of things. So good examples would be, there's Iron Tail, but no Iron Head. There's Sludge Bomb, but no Sludge Wave. There's Air Slash, but no Hurricane. Things like that. So basically, it takes a lot of the guesswork from movesets out, but it also leaves a couple Pokemon really weirdly stranded. Such as, what was one good example? Marowak. Alolan Marowak. The only ghost type move that it gets is now Shadow Ball, because they've taken away Shadow Bone and Shadow Claw, which I don't even think it gets Shadow Claw, but they took away its Shadow Bone. So Alolan Marowak kind of gets left out in the dirt, as well as quite a few other Pokemon as well, such as another good example is like Mega Pidgeot, because even though it doesn't have no guard, you would still be pretty tempted, you probably would run Hurricane on it if Hurricane were in the game, but it's just not, so you're stuck running Air Slash, which makes Mega Pidgeot much worse. So another really big thing that's changed is teleport. So they took Volt Switch out of the game, U-turn still exists, but the reason we're talking about teleport is because they basically made teleport a -6 priority baton pass, or basically a way for you to switch out. It doesn't transfer stat boost or anything like that, but it's a way for you to switch out last always. Which is really nice because a lot of people, you try to run a slow U-turn. So things like Chansey now gets teleport, I'm fairly certain, and it's because it's a TM. If you didn't know, way back in Gen 1, teleport, like the normal teleport for you, basically like budget fly, was a TM. And now it's in this game. So basically it gives you a -6 switching move, which will give you a really, so much initiative. It's going to be a great move on almost any Pokemon's moveset that gets it. So teleport instantly went from probably one of the worst after like Splash. At least Z-Splash gave you like +3 attack. But teleport went from being terrible to being a very, very viable move. A couple other move changes are that they changed Sky Attack and Solar Beam to being 200 base power. That's stronger than a lot of Z moves. They still take 2 turns. I'm not sure why they did it for these two, but not like Skull Bash. Because I get why they didn't do it for Fly or Dig, because when you're in, when you're using the move, you can't be hit. Whereas Sky Attack and Solar Beam, you're just left in the open. But you're there for Skull Bash too, so I don't know why they didn't do it for Skull Bash. I don't know. But yeah, so those are now somewhat viable. Although, there's no sun. Like, if they did this in the sun, that'd be completely busted. But weather does not exist at all in these games. There's not even, like, sunny day, rain dance, none of it. Which is a little disappointing. But Solar Beam now at least has some kind of viability. I'll probably mess around with it a little bit, but I don't see it being too viable. Whereas, on the other hand, they also changed Mega Drain. They've changed a couple moves here and there, but the only one that's really relevant, I think, besides those two, is Mega Drain. Basically, they took Giga Drain out of the game and turned Mega Drain into Giga Drain. They gave it the exact same base power, exact same number of power points. So I don't really know why they did that. Actually, I do, because Giga Drain didn't exist in Gen 1, Absorb and Mega Drain did, but Giga Drain did not. So they just bumped Mega Drain's power. I don't really... That's the only reason why, is because Giga Drain did not exist, but Absorb and Mega Drain did. So now onto some of the actual, like, mechanics, meta type stuff. Two of the biggest losses, actually let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of the biggest losses are they took out every mode of hazard removal, as well as every hazard except Stealth Rock. So, Stealth Rock is going to be on every team, and once they're up, they're there for the entire game, no matter what you do. There's no way to get rid of them at all. Nothing learns defog, unless there's a move tutor, which I have not seen any evidence for that in any of the leaks, any of the data mine stuff. And no Pokemon gets Rapid Spin by level up. Not Blastoise, not, I think, Shelter got it by level up normally, nothing. Which is a big loss, because that really cripples anything that is weak to rocks at all. Despite being everything being so bulky because of the candies like we talked about earlier, if you are weak to Stealth Rock, you are completely screwed. Because not only did they get rid of a lot of just miscellaneous moves, they got rid of every form of recovery except for Learning Recover by level up, Roost by TM, or Soft Boiled on Chansey. And Rest. Rest is also a TM, which we'll talk about that later because that's actually terrible. But things like Slowbro no longer have a form of recovery. Venusaur and Mega Venusaur no longer have a form of recovery outside of passive, like Leech Seed and Mega Drain. But, so that this Rocks being there for the entire game doesn't affect flying types as much, because they get the added bulk from candies and they still have Roost. But things like bug types, things like fire types, it's going to be really hard for those Pokemon to function well in this kind of metagame. Some more kind of downsides, it's going to be a big shift in the meta, is there's no TM for Swords Dance. So the only Pokemon that get Swords Dance are the ones that learn it by level up, which I think, if I looked, there are, including Alolan forms, there are 11 Pokemon that get it, which seems like quite a lot, but not all of them are very good, like Scyther being 4 times weak to rocks. It does get Roost, but Bug Flying is a terrible typing anyway. Let's see what else gets it. Raticate, who's going to use Eradicate, let's be honest. And then Pinsir, which again, nobody's going to use Mega Pinsir because it's 4 times weak to rocks and doesn't have Aerolate. So just a lot of Pokemon that don't really matter get Swords Dance by level up. But probably an even bigger one is that there's no Dragon Dance at all. So, Gyarados does not get Dragon Dance, Dragonite does not get Dragon Dance, and Mega Charizard X does not get Dragon Dance. I guess it's kind of a trade-off with there not being Intimidate in the game because there's no abilities. Is there Will-O-Wisp? I'm not sure. There is. I don't know if it's a TM though. It looks like it still is. It is still a TM. So that's still kind of a bummer. But there's no Intimidate, which helps out physical attackers. Whereas on the opposite side, physical attackers don't have almost any way to boost. I don't think, other than maybe Growth. Let's check and see if that is here. That it is, but it looks like, I think the only Pokemon that Growth will be relevant in is maybe like Victory Bell. Actually, but Victory Bell gets Swords Dance, so never mind. Yeah, so Growth is kind of useless as well. So physical attackers will find it a lot harder to set up. Also, as we talked about a second ago, there is much more limited forms of recovery. So who learns Recover? I'm pretty sure it's just Psychic types. So we have Kadabra and Alakazam, obviously Mega Alakazam as well, Staryu, so that's nothing but Psychic types, because nobody's going to use Staryu, they're going to use Starmie. Porygon, nobody's really going to use Porygon, let's be real. And Mewtwo. That looks like it's about it. Yeah. So, just Psychic types and Porygon, but irrelevant. Get Recover. Roost is a TM, so every flying type will be able to get Roost. Soft Boiled is just Chansey. And Rest. Let me tell you about Rest. With all of the extra bulk that things are going to be getting from candies, Rest is going to be so terrible. Like, they did nerf Rest a little bit, because, to my knowledge, is Sleep Talk a thing? No, Sleep Talk does not exist in this game, which, thank God, because that'd be absolutely terrible. Yeah, so Sleep Talk doesn't exist, which nerfs Rest, and there's also no Heal Bell, sort of, which also helps out, because you can't just put Rest on every Pokemon, heal up all your Pokemon, and then just click Heal Bell and have everybody wake up at full health. There's a little bit of an asterisk with that though, because if we go over to another paste bin document, this right here shows all of the new moves for the partner Pikachu and the partner Eevee. So we'll go over these quickly. Pikachu gets a +2 priority move that always crits, which is electric type, which is pretty cool. Again, all of these names are god-awful. Splishy Splash is a water type move that may paralyze the opponent. Floaty Fall, which can make the target flinch. And then Pika Papow. It's basically return, but it's electric type and never misses. So those are all Pikachu's moves. So Pikachu is going to be a very good offensive Pokemon. On the other side, Eevee is going to be an unkillable monster when it comes to support. Looking at its stats, I was like, let's look at the partner Pikachu and Eevee's stats. Okay, so here's Pikachu's stats. So 45, 50, 60 for defenses, which with candies is respectable. It's not great, but it's also, it'll live a hit or two with weaker hits if you need it to. And then 80, 75, 120 are going to be its offenses, which are going to be sort of lackluster, but it gets some new toys. It gets Calm Mind as a TM to make up for not having Nasty Plot from Pichu. As well as, I think that's pretty much it for new TMs. But it gets all those new moves, which are really cool. On the other side, we have Eevee, who did not get nearly as much of a buff in certain stats. It just got very good all-around buffs. So in bulk, it's 65, 70, 85, which is okay. You know, again, in a candy meta, it's pretty good. And then 75, 65, 75 offenses, which even with candies are not the best. Did it get anything new outside of double kick? It doesn't look like it, other than these moves. So, in a world where recovery is really hard to come by, it gets Bouncy Bubble. Granted, it's non-stab, but it can give you your health back, which, like I said, in this meta is great. Buzzy Buzz can paralyze the target, guaranteed. Sizzly Slide can burn the target, guaranteed. Glitzy Glow, a psychic type attack that puts up a light screen for you. Are light screen and reflect even moves in this game? Okay, yes they are. There are TMs. At least, okay, they're both TMs. So, Glitzy Glow, psychic type move. I believe all of these are base 90, so they're strong moves. Glitzy Glow puts up light screen for you. Baddie Bad, the worst of all of these names, puts up a reflect for you, a dark type move. Sappy Seed, 90 base power grass move, gives the target a leech seed, so even more recovery. Freezy Frost, 90 base power ice type move that basically gives you a haze. Sparkly Swirl, this is the most important one, because this is why Rest is going to be cancer in the meta. User attacks the target by wrapping it with a whirlwind of an overpowering scent, so it's a fairy type move. I think pretty much everybody says that because we have something that's obviously each of the other ones. Fairy type move, base power 90. This also heals all status conditions of the user's party. This is why there was an asterisk next to no heal bell. This Pokemon will be on every serious competitive team. And it will most likely have Sparkly Swirl, probably Toxic, I would say Sappy Seed, and then pick whatever you want your team to have. You want some paralysis spread around, you want some burn spread around, you want a screen. Pick your poison. Eevee is going to be probably up there in usage with things like Mega Alakazam, because Mega Alakazam has no rivals in terms of speed or attack power or special attack power. I think the only thing even close to it in speed, I'm not counting Mega Mewtwo X or Y because it's a Mega Mewtwo and it's not going to be allowed anyway. The only thing that comes close in speed are Mega Aerodactyl, Mega Beedrill, and nothing comes close at all, I don't think, in terms of special attack power. So I think let me look. So normal Alakazam has 130, 120 for or 135, 120 for special attack and speed, 175, 150. If we look at Aerodactyl, has one. We don't care about regular Aerodactyl. 150, so it's also the same speed. What about Gengar's special attack? I think it's 150, 170. But either way, it's 30 base points slower than Mega Alakazam, so it's not even going to stand a chance. Even in a candy meta, Mega Alakazam is going to be all-coing, or at least 2-coing everything. Alright, so let's condense all this down into winners and losers. So winners, I think clearly Eevee. Like I said, Eevee's going to be one of, if not the most used Pokemon in the meta. Which is weird to even say that. Pikachu as well. I don't think Pikachu's not going to be used nearly as much. Because I don't believe you'll be able to have both on your team at the same time. I don't think that's going to be possible. Maybe on Showdown, but I think that'd be the only place where it's even remotely possible. Let's see, what else do we have? Mega Gyarados. Basically anything that's a dark type. So Mega Gyarados, Alolan Muck is going to be fantastic, just because those are going to be two good checks to Mega Alakazam. I'm not going to say counters, because in my opinion there isn't a counter to Mega Alakazam in this meta. Much more so Alolan Muck than Mega Gyarados. Mega Alakazam is also obviously a big winner, like I said. The only downside to Mega Alakazam is that it does not have access to Focus Blast. If it wants a fighting type move, I believe Hidden Power does not exist in this game. So it does not have access to a fighting type move whatsoever. So that's really unfortunate. But it does have access to Dazzling Gleam. So it has something to hit Mega Gyarados super effectively, but it has nothing to hit Muck, because it can't run Hidden Power Ground. Let's see. Chansey. Chansey is going to be on every team. Let me paint you a picture of what every serious competitive team is going to look like. Eevee, Mega Alakazam, Alolan Muck, Chansey, something for Stealth Rock. And then whatever other Pokemon you want to run. In this meta with the candies, Chansey is bulkier now than with an Eviolite. Wrap your mind around that. This Chansey is bulkier than an Eviolite Chansey. And it still retains its access to reliable recovery with Soft Boiled. So going to be one of the best Pokemon in the game, by far. Some other winners are Pokemon that can boost, because there's just going to be so much fat in this metagame that you're not going to be able to break through it well unless you have a way to boost. So, two Pokemon get Quiver Dance. Unfortunately, they're both bug types, so they are Butterfree and Venomoth. Butterfree obviously has its problems because it's 4 times weak to Stealth Rock, like we talked about. Venomoth, I believe Venomoth gets Roost. Let's see, Venomoth. Roost is, you do get Roost. So Quiver Dance and Roost. Yeah, you get Quiver Dance level 55 and you get Roost as a TM. So Venomoth could potentially actually be a very good Pokemon. The only downside is, I think at +1 it still might be slower than Timid Mega Alakazam, which will then clearly OHKO with Psychic. Some of the Pokemon that get Swords Dance, obviously not all of them, but Alolan Raticate, because I believe Sucker Punch is still in this game. Yes, Sucker Punch is still in this game. So SD Alolan Raticate is going to be pretty good in this game. What else do we have? Shell Smash. Shell Smash Cloyster and Shell Smash Omastar are going to be pretty good because at +2, I believe Cloyster will outspeed Megazam. Don't quote me on that. It may or may not. But unfortunately, it is forced to run Special because it does not get Liquidation. I don't believe it gets Waterfall in this game either. Waterfall does exist in this game, but I don't believe Cloyster gets it. But Omastar gets Hydro Pump and is Special anyway. So Shell Smash Omastar could potentially be a very effective sweeper. And then in general, any support Pokemon, just because there's so much fat, they get so much bulkier. Things like Nidoqueen is going to be really hard to kill unless you have a Mega Alakazam. Status is going to be fantastic just because so many things lack recovery. Just in general, bulky Pokemon get a lot better. Alright, and now for the losers. Like we talked about, Alolan Marowak, and I guess sort of Marowak in general, just because it can't have Thick Club. It does get Swords Dance still, but it doesn't have Shadow Bone, so no good Ghost-type stab. It still does keep Flare Blitz, but it takes the recoil because it doesn't have Rock Head, so just in general, Marowak gets worse, which is a shame because it's one of only really 2, because you're not going to use Haunter, you're going to use Gengar, Ghost types in the game. So that is kind of a shame. Raichu just because why would you use a Raichu when you can use the starter Pikachu, which has access to all those other moves? You know, like the always critting +2 priority move, a Surf that can paralyze, just things like that. Raichu's just not going to be used. We have Mega Slowbro and regular Slowbro, because they don't get Slack off and are forced to use Rest if they want recovery. So you can still make that work because Mega Slowbro will be incredibly bulky in this metagame. And if you pair that with Eevee, the starter Eevee, you can potentially just stall the crap out of everybody. The similar thing goes for Mega Venusaur. Mega Venusaur, like I talked about at the very beginning of this piece, is going to be very, very bulky, but it doesn't get Synthesis. So it's forced to run probably a stall set with like Leech Seed, Toxic, Protect, because Protect does exist, and Mega Drain. Mega Charizard X and Mega Charizard Y. Just because, yeah, they do have Roost. I would say Mega Charizard Y is much more impacted. I originally thought Mega Charizard Y was going to be the better Pokemon in this metagame, just because it has a higher attacking stat, and it has better stab attacks. But because it retains its 4x weakness to Stealth Rock, I'm now changing that to say Mega Charizard X is now much better, because Mega Charizard X, despite not getting Dragon Dance, can just come in, Mega Evolve, Roost, and then be fine for the rest of the game, really. Has 2 very good attacking stats. I could see running Roost, Fire Blast, Outrage, because Dragon Claw doesn't exist. And Outrage is now a TM, for some reason. So Roost, Fire Blast, Outrage or Dragon Pulse, and then Earthquake. That'd be a very viable Mega Charizard X set. And then lastly, probably the biggest letdown of this whole thing, Clefable. So what makes Clefable great in Gen 7 OU is the fact that it has a great typing in Fairy, which obviously it still keeps. 2 great choices for abilities for a defensive Pokemon in Unaware, which would be insane in this metagame, because boosting is going to be the only way to break through fat Pokemon. Or Magic Guard, which makes it so it can't be hurt by things like Toxic or Stealth Rock, things like that. And also, it has access to all the recovery options that you could want in Soft Boiled, Wish, Moonlight, Heal Bell. It loses all of that. It has access to no recovery whatsoever outside of Rest. And even in a Candy metagame, its defensive stats are just kind of meh. It's still probably the best Fairy type in the game, but at the end of the day, it's like, it's just not going to be nearly as good as it is currently in Gen 7 OU. So those are just kind of my thoughts on how the metagame for Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee are going to be. I originally thought that this was going to be a really fun metagame when they announced there was going to be no items, there was going to be no abilities. I thought it was just going to be really simple, really fast-paced games. But people have been simulating these games on Showdown, and they take 60+ turns, which has me really worried. Obviously, I'm still going to play it. I'm still going to enjoy the absolute heck out of the game itself. But when it comes to battling online, I honestly don't know how I'm going to feel about it. We're still going to do it. We're still going to put it on the channel. I'm still going to enjoy it while I'm playing it. I'm sure unless somebody... I'm sure that stall in this metagame is going to be absolutely crazy. And I can see in Smogon them banning Rest. I can easily see that happening because it would just make games... I could easily see 100-turn games. And nobody enjoys that. No matter if you play stall, people don't even enjoy that. So that's just my take on it. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video as much as I did, please like and or subscribe. Follow me on Twitter and Twitch at CoolTrainerGav. And follow our new channel, Palette University, on Twitter at Palette_U. And until next time, smile later.